Do you have no trouble falling asleep but somehow can't stay asleep? You wouldn't be alone. Middle of the night insomnia is the most common form, according to a recent sleep study. Joining us with more details and some tips on staying asleep is WSJ reporter Andrea Petersen. Andrea, thanks so much for being with us. Now, this does happen to everyone occasionally, right? I mean, we've all been there.
It does. Well, waking up in the middle of the night briefly is totally normal. Your partner may jostle you. Right. There's a noise.
You're shifting from sleep cycles.
Right, waking, right. As you're transitioning between sleep cycles, brief awakenings are very common.
But we're normally supposed to be able to fall
right back asleep.
And then there is a certain amount of people, for a certain amount of people, this becomes a chronic disorder, but it's a significant amount of people.
It's actually much more common than trouble falling asleep at bedtime. In one study, it showed that of people that have insomnia, about 61%, their primary complaint is of staying asleep.
Wow, that's
about 52% is actually waking up too early, and it was only 38% that said that their biggest problem was falling asleep at bedtime.
So interesting. And so do each of these various forms of insomnia have slightly different causes?
They do. I mean, the type of insomnia tends to morph over time, and people can often have multiple complaints, but falling asleep at bedtime, having trouble falling asleep at bedtime is often associated with stress and anxiety, and it's actually a normal response to that.
Okay.
Waking up too early can be associated with depression, and both of those kinds actually can be associated with circadian timing disorders. The middle of the night insomnia is more likely to be associated with medical problems, things like chronic pain, things like gastrointestinal problems. Older adults can have issues, hot flashes during menopause, prostate conditions that can cause frequent urination. So
one of the other benefits of aging, right?
Right.
So at least one doctor told you the best thing to do if you're suffering from this type of insomnia is nothing?
That's right. And what he means is don't nap the next day, don't sleep in, don't go to bed early the next night, because if you start to do things like that, then you can transition from acute to chronic insomnia. Because what you do is
normalize it.
Well, you basically throw off your whole sleep cycle. So it actually becomes more difficult to sleep the next night and the night after that.
So we shouldn't necessarily do anything to compensate, but there are some things we shouldn't do, correct?
That's right. I mean, the biggest things are sort of light and activity that's going to sort of rev you up.
And any light, right? Including our computer light, an alarm clock light. Can those affect us?
Well, it's less, that would be basically more activating. So things on your computer, it's just really easy to get sucked into Facebook post and then you're really kind of far away from sleeping.
But bathroom lights, don't turn on the light and start
Don't turn on the overhead lights in your bathroom. Use a night light.
Right.
Then my favorite one is if you do decide to watch TV, do it with sunglasses
I think that's hilarious. I actually like that.
Even in the middle of the night.
But also you should be wary of your pets. You may not realize it, but they could be keeping you up at night.
That's right. I talked to one doctor who said that she had an insomnia patient who wasn't getting better, no matter, even despite treatment. And then finally she said, well, my 3 golden retrievers sleep in bed with me.
Out of the
bed. As the dogs were out of the bed,
and no midnight snacks. That's so bad, right?
And people often will do that. They'll wake up, they're hungry, and they'll start snacking. But what you can do, first of all, it's just not great from a weight point of view. There's mounting evidence that calories taken in during the middle of the night actually lead to more weight gain than they do if you ate them during the day.
And of course, we know that alcohol also can sometimes make you wake up in the middle of the night.
That's right.
Go to sleep.
Right. Sometimes people will have difficulty falling asleep at bedtime. They start having a glass of wine and they're able to fall asleep quicker, but then the rebound that happens in the middle of the night.
And what's the word on medications? Should we or should we not turn to sleep medication?
Well, I mean, the issue with middle of the night insomnia is that you have to basically take it preventively, because obviously most people that have middle of the night insomnia don't have it every night.
Because if you take it at 3 a.m., you're still going to be very drowsy.
Right. I mean, that is very dangerous if you take sort of a regular kind of Ambien in the middle of the night. There is a new form, a relatively new form. It was approved by the FDA in 2011 called intermezzo, and it's actually specifically indicated for middle of the night use.
Right.
But some doctors I talk to are still wary about doing that, because some people might think middle of the night is 2 a.m., but some people might still think it's 5 a.m. and then drive.
The things we'll go through for a good night's sleep. Andrea Petersen, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.